Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really interesting botanical remedy, Berberis aquifolium. You might know it as mountain grape or mahonia. Our plan is simple. We're going to pull out the key insights from William Boerice's classic homeopathic materia medica to, well, really understand its traditional uses and some of its intriguing properties.
Yeah, that's right. And Boric paints a pretty broad picture. He talks about it as a stimulant for essentially all glands, something to improve nutrition overall. And he uses this, well, quite descriptive phrase: hepatic torpor, lassitude, and other evidences of incomplete metamorphosis.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Hepatic torpor sounds like a sluggish liver. Lassitude, just general tiredness.
Exactly. Like
What?
the body's just not processing things efficiently. He also specifically notes its value for the skin for chronic catarrhal issues. That's, long-term inflammation of mucous membranes and even secondary syphilis.
Wow. That's quite a spectrum for one plant. And you mentioned the skin. I think that's where it gets particularly interesting for a lot of people listening. Boric really emphasizes that, doesn't he?
He does. Very much so. The Materia Medica describes it as being really effective for skin that's pimply, dry, rough, scaly.
So, general problem skin.
Yeah, but he gets specific too. He mentions eruptions on the scalp extending to face and neck. That suggests it's not just superficial, right? More of a systemic thing going on.
Right, more than just dabbing something on a spot. What actual conditions does he list?
Well, he calls out things like acne, psoriasis, dry eczema, and also pruritus, which is that really intense itching, common issues, many of them. And he adds that it helps to clear the complexion, something many people are looking for.
Sure.
But it goes deeper. He also lists tumor of breast with pain and glandular induration like hardened glands. This points towards those deeper systemic glandular connections he seems to be making.
That's fascinating, linking skin appearance directly back to potentially glandular function or these deeper issues. It fits that incomplete metamorphosis idea you mentioned.
Exactly. It's like he saw the skin as a mirror to some of these internal processes.
Okay, so besides the skin, which is clearly a major focus, what else? You mentioned headaches.
Yes, under the head section, he describes a very specific feeling: sensation of a band just above ears.
Huh. Oddly specific.
Isn't it? And also bilious headache, which often ties back to liver or digestion, connecting again to that hepatic torpor.
Ah, okay, the connections are there.
And scald head, which he clarifies is a type of scaly eczema. So even with head symptoms, we're looping back to the skin.
It keeps coming back to skin and maybe underlying metabolic stuff. What about the face specifically, beyond just clearing the complexion?
Well, again, pretty straightforward. Blotches and pimples reinforces that core use for various skin troubles. It really seems like he viewed it as a kind of comprehensive skin remedy.
Makes sense. Now, given his proposed role in nutrition and glands, I'm curious about digestion. What does Boerice say about the stomach?
Right, there are some distinct symptoms there. He notes the tongue, thickly coated, yellowish brown, feels blistered. That points to some kind of internal imbalance, doesn't it?
Definitely sounds like it.
Then there's burning in stomach. And, this is quite interesting, nausea and hunger after eating.
Wait, nausea and hunger at the same time.
Yeah, that combination, it's unusual, suggesting a digestive system that's really struggling, kind of sending mixed signals. Maybe ties into that whole metabolic picture again.
That is a peculiar mix. And the urinary system, does it get a mention?
It does. The description for urine is quite vivid: stitching, crampy pains, thick mucus, and bright red, mealy sediment.
Okay, so very specific observations there too. Suggests an effect on inflammation or irritation in that area.
Seems likely, based on the description.
Now, you mentioned Boerice's text. How is this remedy typically used? Any dosage guidance?
He gives a short instruction: tincture in rather material doses.
Material doses. For listeners maybe not familiar with homeopathic terms, what does that generally imply?
Good question. Basically, it means using the tincture in quantities that are less diluted than many other homeopathic preparations. It suggests Boeric was looking for a more direct, almost physiological effect from the plant, not just the highly subtle action you sometimes associate with homeopathy.
Okay, so a more direct physiological action was expected. So, pulling this all together, what's the big picture from Boerice? Our deep dive seems to show Berberis aquifolium as, well, pretty versatile. Strong focus on skin, yes, but also these broader effects stimulating glands, maybe helping nutrition, general metabolic function.
Absolutely. And if you step back, exploring this kind of historical source really makes you appreciate the meticulous observation skills back then. How they saw connections. It makes you think, doesn't it? how they believed a single remedy could influence so many different body systems that seem, perhaps to us now, somewhat disconnected. It really opens up a window into traditional knowledge and its unique perspective on health.
A holistic view, perhaps, connecting the dots in a different way.
Precisely, looking at the whole system.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Berberis aquifolium through Boerice's lens. We hope you found these insights valuable, maybe even sparked some new thoughts on botanical medicine.